When I talk about the school, I'm actually talking about the schools and the early childhoods, because in this community there are 4 primary schools and 1 intermediate school, and there are 3 early childhood centres and 1 play centre, and we have a loose grouping called the North East Valley Education Council, and we collaborate. It doesn't cost much. We collaborate on a whole lot of really interesting things, everything from PD to sharing information about families. We work on the premise that whatever it takes is what it takes, and you know, sometimes that means delivering wood to a house that has no heating. Sometimes it means food parcels. Sometimes it means notifications, you know, and we use every arrow that we have at our disposal to try and get these kids engaged. This is like an old-fashioned school that most of us would have gone to, where the doctor's daughter is sitting beside the mongrel mob president's son, and we are expected to get on with each other. And if you go into the classrooms, you shouldn't be able to tell who the doctor's daughter is and who the mongrel mob son is, because we work on the basis that we're all equal and we're getting on. This school has possibly the highest reading results in the city. Even though we're a mid-decile school, it has very high writing and maths results, as high if not higher than decile 10 schools. And that's not by accident either. So I think the thing is, we don't have to go to Finland to find the answer. You know, we have to look at our history, what we've thrown out in the last 30 years, you know, and what things are really working well. This school has got mature teachers who work from 7 till 6 every day. And I think that's where we start. Good heart, good-hearted people, mature, hard-working. All right? So, come for a little walk. The first thing we'll do is we'll go and have a look at the community centre. They organise everything from a big Matariki festival every year in the valley to Christmas parties to all sorts of things. Oh, yeah. They coordinate food share, you know, unused good food for needy families. We have a group called the Tight 5, which are the local 5 school principals. A concrete form of our collaboration is this. We have an agreement that if one of us has a struggle of any sort that is overwhelming us, all we have to do is let one of the Tight 5 know, and within an hour they will organise someone to be here to support us. So if I have a parent, as you do from time to time, who is aggressive and frightening and is upsetting us, I could ring Ross. If he's too busy, he will ring Jenny or Paul or Mel, and one of them would get here just to provide that support. When we're getting into the stuff of engaging community, we thought, well, why don't we say to community members, do you want to set up a community garden? We'll do all the paperwork, we'll help you with fundraising, but we'll leave you to it. So this is now 4 years old, and they have 30, 40 people come on a weekend and work together in this garden, some of whom are kids. People who don't have much are allowed to come and help themselves within reason. So you'll see sometimes mum with her kids coming up to get some silver beet or some herbs. So it's engagement. The environment's got to look good. We've got to value the kids enough to bring them into really welcoming spaces. So, and we give that resource back to the community then. Say, here, it's our resource. So Ross will tell you that he's just had his kitchens at the intermediate school, which are high quality kitchens, being used for preserves making this last weekend. So you go and learn how to make preserves.
The community probably uses the intermediate more than it uses this building, this place. There are probably more community groups use the intermediate then because of its proximity.
It's the spirit of looking for something that will engage that community. It mightn't be a community garden, it might be something completely different. But it's the school responding to the local community and reflecting the local community. We host all the gifted and talented classes for Dunedin at the school. We run after-school homework clubs and after-school care. There's a wedding on in the hall on the weekend, you know, a 21st party. Kids come and ride bikes and have skating competitions and stuff. This environment is part of this community. A lot of work done from the early childhood centres. Our new entrant teacher is free every Thursday morning, and part of her job is to go to the early childhood centres, and the early childhood centres come to visit here. And so you might see today at 11 o'clock a group from Islington Early Childhood Centre. They will bring Evie, who is starting in 2 weeks. With a little group, they'll walk up the road and they'll walk in here and they'll come with her into the classroom and sit with her as she gets used to that environment. And the same at the intermediate school. Ross is down here quite a bit, working with those year sixes, talking to them.
My understanding of what's commonly called transition is that it's a misnomer because it's got completely the wrong context. I think what we're really talking about is that we're talking about developing resilience of educators and students to cope with change. And change is always going to happen to these kids, whether it's within one school or within institutions. And our ability to utilise that change for the benefit of learning is really important. And one of the things that is the worst thing I think we could say is, oh, we've got all these changes and the poor children, they have to make change. Instead of that, saying, okay, let's embrace change and let's say this is an opportunity to do these new things. And we know these things about you already, and we've actually got samples of your work in your portfolio before you walk in the door. Yeah. And that's one of the powerful things that we've got. So that when a child writes something down on the first day of D&I, I've got a sample that they did when they were here in that portfolio, and I say to teachers, hey, listen guys, just check and see what it looks like, see how it compares, see what's happening. And if it's not right, then let's find out why and let's sort it. And that's just the kind of thing. So it's a resilience around change.
And one of the interesting things that happens is that sometimes Ross will ring me up and say, now we've got a problem with, you've said that he's reading at such and such a level, and our teachers are saying that that's not the case. Oh. And that's like us exposing our practice a bit and saying, did we get it right? We might have got it wrong. Ooh, that'd be pretty shameful. And so we work together. We're not frightened to say that to each other. And as soon as they excluded him, they weren't sure that they'd made the right decision. And so I was invited to their board meeting to be another educator in the community, to say, how did this go, this boy, and to also say we will have him because he's part of our community. Another example is when we had a death in the school, Ross and his senior team came and managed our school during the funeral. Now that we would say that the people in this school and in Ross's school and in Mark's school have got a lens into the community that no one else has now got. The postman used to have it. The Plunket nurse, we were talking about the Plunket nurse before, used to have that. We are the last bastion of the lens, and you can't lose that. And why not use it? If someone comes along and says, well, we'll give you 100 grand for your community to carry on doing this stuff, and I'm thinking, yeah, but what's going to be attached to that? Oh, you've got to get your national standards data up. We're not allowed business as usual. That's the latest thing from Aero. And I think, well, if business is pretty good, business as usual should stay as business as usual. But anyway, that's by the by. If we're going to put money into this stuff, we have to put it into risky things that might not work and that might not be able to be answered satisfactorily by the minister in the House. Somehow we've got to have confidence to say, okay, those guys in North East Valley are doing something interesting. Let's see what they want. They might say we don't want any money. But what we want is someone to facilitate communication between us and SIFs. Now that's a reality. For 7 years we have tried to get someone from SIFs to give us a dedicated social worker, the same person for all of our children in North Dunedin, instead of Mary on Monday and Tom on Tuesday and Fred on Wednesday. That would be one thing we might say. We might say, well, if we've got money, we actually want to put it into the swimming pool at D&I, because that's going to be better for our community than employing someone to lift achievement. We've got to take risks. That's how New Zealand education does well. And 5 of those risks mightn't work and 1 might. And that one might be the thing that we can then duplicate around the place.